Miss Beto the baby at first. She was still fatigued. The doctor that did the procedure to deliver the baby, he handed me the baby and he looked at me. He said, "Are you sure this baby's yours?" And I looked at the doctor. "What do you mean?" He said, "Because this baby's white."
Like
he looks like a typical black male. Hey, come on.
You do too, I'm mad.
Yes, and you've been sleeping with typical black men.
I couldn't say that child belonged to somebody else. He's an idiot.
You don't see any resemblance?
No, I really don't.
Told me yourself when I asked you, is that Mr. Bailey's son? You said, no, it's not.
I don't know. That's why I'm here. Confused because I slept with the both of them, obviously.
Right, but when I asked, told me no.
I do not remember that. He knows.
Mr. Bolton shares his reasons for doubting the paternity of Ms. Beto's child, stating his emotional attachment and fear of the truth as he has grown to love the child as his own. It's like something straight out of a daytime drama. Buckle up because the emotional roller coaster is just getting started.
Mr. Bolton, you state you have reason to believe Ms. Beto's child may not be your biological daughter. You say you are desperate to discover the truth because you've already grown to love her as your own. Mr. Bolton, this is not your first time in this courtroom.
When the baby was born, the doctor questioned Mr. Bolton directly if he was sure the baby was his due to the baby's light complexion, sparking his initial doubts. And you thought that was jaw-dropping? Just wait until you hear what comes next.
When the baby was born, I cut the umbilical cord, the doctors wiped the baby off, and they gave Miss Beto the baby at first. She was still fatigued. The doctor that did the procedure to deliver the baby, he handed me the baby and he looked at me. He said, "Are you sure this baby's yours?" And I looked at the doctor. "What do you mean?" He said, "Because this baby's white."
Mr. Bolton presents a photo of the baby at birth, discussing the doctor's remarks about the baby's complexion, which led them to court to resolve his paternity doubts. The plot thickens even more in the upcoming scene. Get ready for some gasps.
This is a picture of Ileana when she was first born, and when the doctor made that comment.
Let me just say this, that was stupid. We're mixed. I'm Dominican and black. People in my family have different color eyes. My eyes are hazel. My father's eyes are green. He told me that when he was a young boy, when he was a baby, as a matter of fact, his eyes were blue and then they turned green.
Ms. Beto discusses how both family and strangers question the baby's paternity based on her appearance, highlighting the social pressure and doubt Mr. Bolton faced. Strap in, because the courtroom's about to turn up the heat even further.
We had friends and family come over to see the baby, then looking at the baby like, "Oh, she's beautiful. Is she yours?"
That's not what they said, Your Honor. What they were saying, maybe on his, but my side, they did make some comments, but of course I defend it. That's my daughter. I see him all the time in her. I see a little bit of my features, but mostly I see him.
Judge Lake questions Ms. Beto about her fidelity, where she admits to a brief separation and encounter with another man, which fueled Mr. Bolton's doubts even more. If you think that's a twist, just wait for what's coming up next.
We actually broke up last year around August. It was due to infidelity on his behalf.
Well, Your Honor, she was with me the whole time that I was cheating. I got a couple buddies I hang out with. Now,
I
by
saw
my
the texts
association
from the
being with them, I'm getting accused daily. Point where I should cheat just to make you happy. I mean, that was my logic, because every day she's saying, "Hey, you're a cheater, you're a cheater." I did, and I admit to that. She left.
A video is shown in court displaying Mr. Bolton's commitment to the child despite his doubts, underscoring the emotional depth and conflict in their relationship. The next part will definitely tug at your heartstrings. Don't miss it!
You even submitted a video. It really shows how committed he is to her.
Hello. Bye-bye. I love Ileana. Ever since she was born, I always been her.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Bolton, you are her father.
Please say, but what I tell you.
You're not going to believe this. Miss Baylor strides into court with a mission, filing a request for a DNA test to confirm whether her ex-fiancé, Mr. Earls, is truly the father of her 3-year-old son, Marcus Jr. She details the emotional wreckage caused by Mr. Earls' paternity doubts and their abruptly canceled wedding, just 3 months before they were supposed to tie the knot. Her next move, lay out all the emotional cards.
Ms. Baylor, you've petitioned the court for a DNA test. You want to prove to your ex-fiancé, Mr. Earls, that he fathered your 3-year-old son, Mark.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say Mr. Earls called off your wedding just 3 months prior to getting married because of his paternity doubt.
Yes, Your Honor.
Hold on to your seats, folks. Things heat up as Mr. Earls accuses Miss Baylor of playing the field during their entire relationship, which began in their teens. Insisting on clearing his doubts, he's countered with a demand for a lie detector test for Miss Baylor to spill the beans on her fidelity, or lack thereof.
Mr. Earls, you and Baylor have been together since you were 17 years old, and you believe she's been unfaithful the entire relationship. Today, you're countersuing Ms. Baylor for a lie detector test because you want entire truth.
Brace yourself for the waterworks. An emotional Miss Baylor talks about how the constant accusations and the collapsed wedding plans have turned her life upside down. She brings out her wedding planner to show the depth of her preparations and dreams, sharing how deeply she was invested in their future together.
His accusations have ruined our relationship. We've been together since I was 17. He moved in with us, and then we had 2 beautiful daughters. And then after our 3rd child, we decided that we wanted to get married. Planned everything. I had everything picked out. I had the dress. He bought me a ring. Our wedding date was supposed to be 12, 13, 14. Like, that was so significant. To do that, Your Honor, can I submit this to you?
What is that?
This is my wedding planner.
You'll need to sit down for this one. In a bold declaration, Mr. Earls stands firm in his belief that he is not the father of Marcus Jr. This adamant denial adds layers to the ongoing drama of paternity doubt and suspected infidelities. Keep your eyes peeled, because Miss Baylor's response will throw you for a loop.
You certain this child is not yours?
I'm certain. I'm 100% sure that is not my baby.
So this had to be really serious for you to call wedding just 3 months before.
It was very serious.
What happened?
I went away on August 16th. Sandra came and visited me 2 weeks after I was gone. She gave me some news that she was pregnant. Okay, I was excited. Come to find out, a week later, she visited me again.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more tangled, Miss Baylor drops a bombshell. She admits to a brief fling, which, according to her, perfectly missed the timeline of her son's conception. This critical confession stirs questions about the timing of her affair and its impact on the paternity dispute.
That's when you said you cheated.
I cheated in July, yes, Your Honor, but that is not when I conceived. My son was due May 7th. But I had a C-section due to 2 other kids. My blood pressure goes up, I go into labor, and I had to have a C-section. That's why he was born April 22nd.
Fasten your seatbelts for this bumpy ride. A fiery debate ensues about whether Marcus Jr. was born premature, affecting the calculation of his conception date. Miss Baylor insists her son came early, contradicting Mr. Earls' claim of a full-term birth, aligning closer to the timeline of her admitted infidelity. The next twist in their tale is just moments away, and it's a shocker.
Ms. Baylor, you're saying the baby was born early, and so your conception date actually have been later than what is projected. Do you think the baby was born early?
No, that baby wasn't born early. She carried that baby full time.
That is not true,
Your Honor.
You
don't know no baby premature 6 pounds 9 ounces. I don't. That's a big baby.
I do agree. A 6 pound 9 ounce baby, that's a full-term weight.
This part is a real soap opera. As the plot thickens, further allegations about Miss Baylor's fidelity come to light, including some damning accusations from Mr. Earls' brother regarding her interactions with other men. The complexities of their relationship deepen, throwing everything you thought you knew into doubt. But don't go anywhere. The lie detector results are up next, and they're explosive.
About 3 weeks before my brother went away, I called Miss Baylor, texting another dude talking about how she wanted to have sex with him. The dude picture kept popping up on the phone.
Yes, I do flirt a lot.
Yeah, more than a lot.
No, that is a lie.
But you were on the phone telling the guy.
Yes, I was, but Marcus has done me.
Get ready for the fireworks. The lie detector results are in, confirming Miss Baylor's multiple indiscretions she openly acknowledges in court. This pivotal moment solidifies Mr. Earls' suspicions and the strained trust between the pair. But the real showstopper is still to come. The DNA test results will totally knock your socks off.
You were asked, during the last 10 years, other than the one time you admitted to cheating, have you had sexual intercourse with another man? You answered yes. The lie detector determined that was the truth.
That's because we split up.
And now, the big reveal.
It has been determined by this court. Earls, you are father.
I told you.
Buckle up for this wild start. The episode kicks off with the case of Green vs. Green. Mr. Green comes out swinging with allegations that his ex-wife was unfaithful during their marriage with both men and women, which has him questioning if he's really the father of 1-year-old Keegan. He's asked the court for a paternity test to put his mind at ease based on his ex-wife's colorful history.
This is a case of Green versus Green.
Mr. Green, you claim that defendant repeatedly cheated on you during your marriage, both men and...
Yes, Your Honor.
You state you have every reason that you are 1-year-old Keegan's biological father, Mrs. Green's sexual track record. And you've petitioned the court for a paternity test.
That's me.
Hold on to your popcorn. This gets juicy. Mr. Green dives into why he doubts he's the father, pointing to his wife's many lengthy and unexplained disappearances. He recalls instances where she'd vanish for hours, leaving him with nothing but flimsy excuses upon her return. These seeds of doubt grew as she seemed to be living a double life, leading to their eventual split.
I mean, she used to leave me in the house like for numerous amounts of time. Like she'd tell me she'd going to the store for like an hour. She'd be gone for like 2 or 3 hours and get back. I asked her where she been. Like she just been to her girlfriend's house. To her girlfriend's house can mean really her boyfriend's house or both. Like who knows, you know what I mean? I don't think Burger King at 10 o'clock at night is crowded until like 1 in the morning. So this is what made me like not want to be with her. You know what I mean? Like, and then when I did leave, the first time I did leave, I was going to see my other child.
Grab a seat because this twist is a doozy. Mrs. Green admits she wasn't exactly the picture of fidelity during their on and off relationship, but insists that during the key period, the conception of their child, she was only with Mr. Green. Despite their roller coaster relationship riddled with accusations and temporary breakups, she stands firm on this point.
Not been with anyone during the time that this child child was conceived
Oh,
besides
really?
him.
Somebody wasn't calling him?
So,
old boy wasn't keeping.
you get pregnant through the phone. Anyway, like I said, I hadn't been with anyone during the time that this child was conceived besides him.
You are certain
Yes,
that
ma'am.
during that time, even though you'd had sex with other men, only sleeping with your husband.
Ma'am, and I don't know what women have to do with anything because none of them definitely got me pregnant. Don't even have nothing to do with going on, really.
You're not going to want to miss this. As the plot thickens, Mr. Green details rumors of his wife's escapades during the time their baby was supposedly conceived. He paints a vivid picture of her social exploits, possibly with other men, which he learned about through the grapevine. The conversation turns into a muddled mess of he said, she said, reflecting the deep chaos and complexity of their marital strife.
But during this time, I've heard rumors that she's been around with.
Actually brought a female into the situation. You know what I'm saying? Like she brought.
Well, she's not gonna get pregnant by a woman. I hate to break that to you. So we need to understand what men have you heard.
I'm gonna get back to the female part if I can elaborate.
No. Get back to the part I need to understand because I cannot impregnate anybody, and this is paternity court. So we need somebody to be a father.
This part is a real eyebrow raiser. Amidst a heated discussion, Mr. Green questions the resemblance between himself and the child, suggesting the baby looks like a typical black male, which in his mind could mean any number of potential fathers. The high stakes and emotional charge of this moment underline the racial sensitivities and personal betrayals at play.
Like
He looks like a typical black male. Hey, come on.
you do too. I'm mad.
Yes, and you've
So
been sleeping with typical black men.
I could say that child belonged to somebody else. He's an idiot.
You don't see any resemblance
No, I really don't.
And now, for the moment that turns everything upside down.
as it relates to 1-year-old Keegan Green. Mr. Green, you are father.
Now turn up to that. Now.
I'll talk about it.
Can you believe this twist? Miss Taylor spills the beans on why she kept her daughter from Mr. Thompson, citing his past lifestyle and her mother's protective instincts as key reasons. She reveals further that she avoided causing drama in his new marriage by keeping her distance.
The lifestyle that Mr. Thompson was living at the time, I really didn't want that for my daughter. My mother had my daughter while I was going through something. I spoke with my mother about him coming to see her. My mother said no, she would let me handle it when I got back. When I came home, I didn't know where Mr. Thompson was.
Did that just drop like a bomb? Miss Taylor confesses to an affair with a married man before Mr. Thompson entered the picture, throwing a wrench into the fatherhood question. The crowd's reaction is priceless. Keep your eyes peeled. The emotional floodgates are about to open.
The reason why I'm saying that is because during this time, before I met Mr. Thompson, I was having an affair with a married man. Honestly, I didn't know if it was the married man's child or Mr. Thompson's child.
That was a gut punch of a moment, wasn't it? Mr. Thompson reveals his heartache over never having met his daughter, only seeing her through photographs over an agonizing 18 years. The judge decides it's time for a face-to-face, calling Melinda Turner into the courtroom.
So have you ever met or seen your daughter?
I never have saw a hair on her head. Only she sent me pictures.
18 years. Well, she is here today. I won't make you wait any longer. Jerome, will you please escort my Linda Turner into the courtroom?
Yes, Your Honor.
Talk about an emotional whirlwind. Melinda Turner drops a bombshell that she only discovered last week about Mr. Thompson possibly not being her dad, throwing everyone for a loop. Her emotional turmoil is palpable as she contemplates losing her father figure. You won't want to miss what comes next. It's going to ramp up even more.
That there was a possibility that Mr. Thompson was not your biological father.
Just last week.
How did you find out?
I was talking with my sister and she had brought it up. I was talking to my mom. She also had brought it up in a conversation on the phone.
And then 2 weeks ago or a week ago, they tell you that may not be, that it's almost like getting ripped from you. What did you feel like in that moment?
I was very hurt.
Just when you think it can't get any more intense, Miss Taylor delivers a heartfelt apology to both her daughter and Mr. Thompson, admitting that her attempts to shield her daughter might have backfired massively. This poignant moment paves the way for some staggering news.
Honestly, I just apologize to both of you for going through all of this. I feel like I should have did more early on. I just didn't. That's why we're here now.
Jerome, I'm ready for the results.
Hold on to your seats for this one.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Thompson, you are not her father.
Can you believe what just went down? Miss Laws hauls her ex, Mr. Bailey, into court to figure out if he's the dad of her 19-month-old type, Jazia, and maybe her 4-year-old, Jamari. She's totally miffed at Mr. Bailey's denial, blaming his mom for his doubts.
Ms. Laws, you have dragged your ex-friend, Mr. Bailey, into court to prove to him that he is the father of your 19-month-old son. You believe he is denying paternity because of his mother's doubts. Also claim that there is a chance that Mr. Bailey is the father of your 4-year-old son, Jamari, who has another man's name on his birth certificate.
Did that really just go down? Following Mr. Davis's untimely departure, Miss Laws ponders spilling the beans on Jamari's real dad, a secret she's kept under wraps from all but Mr. Bailey's kin. The tangled web of relationships and pregnancy timing are key in this soap opera.
And so Mr. Davis passes away. At that point, do you tell someone about this secret?
The only people who really knew was Mr. Bailey's, some of his family members.
Mr. Bailey, you and your mom are here in court today.
Yes, Your Honor.
You're not ready for this shocker. The air crackles as Miss Laws and Mr. Bailey go head-to-head about who fathered her kids. Miss Laws insists Mr. Bailey once entertained the idea he might be the dad, while he shoots that down fast.
Did you say that, Miss Bailey? Did you say that, my baby?
No, how I'm gonna say that?
Him and cousin was saying that.
How am I gonna say that's baby?
Because you know you slept with me.
That's not my baby.
Can I say something?
Hold on. Miss Laws told me yourself when I asked you, is that Mr. Bailey's son? You said, no, it's not.
I don't know. That's why I'm here. Confused because I slept with the both of them, obviously.
Right, but when I asked, told me no.
I do not remember that. He knows.
Don't blink now, you'll miss the twist. As the court drama thickens, in swoops Mr. Davis's sister, convinced her late brother is Jahmari's dad. This new claim tosses another emotional grenade into the mix, deepening the paternity puzzle.
And I'm gonna give you that opportunity because Mr. Davis's sister is here in court, and I'd like to have her. Miss Collier, thank you so much for being here today. Please accept my sincerest condolences on the loss of your brother. Do you believe that your brother is Jamari's biological father?
Yeah.
Can you tell the court why?
Well, my brother at first he was so happy, and then he told my mom that he had the baby on the way.
Here's the game changer. The courtroom heats up, Miss Laws nearly storms out, frazzled by the barrage of claims and her secrets threatening to spill. Judge Lake stops her, stressing the need to stick around for the DNA verdict, crucial for her kids' futures.
Take a deep breath. I'm ready to out, and you can read the results, because I already know the freaking result.
You walking out on your children's opportunity to know who
He gonna hear it,
their father, because you've already testified that you have for all of these years, so much so that the man you say you love, Mr. Bailey, could potentially be her nephew's by. We heard that already.
What you want me to do? Just like
what I want you to do is just be quiet for a minute.
The tension is palpable here.
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Bailey.
Here's where things start to get juicy. Ms. Kienzl, Ms. Spencer asserts that the paternity results will prove Mr. Smith is not the father. Ms. Garner, on the other hand, firmly believes Mr. Smith is her biological father, despite him not knowing her mother was pregnant, or that he could potentially be her father. Buckle up, because the revelations in the next clip are going to turn things up a notch.
Ms. Spencer, you're suing the defendant, your sister, for defaming your mother's name by not claiming Mr. Smith is her father. You say today's paternity results will prove he is not. Ms. Garner, you believe Mr. Smith is your biological father, even though he came into your life only years ago, never knew your mother was pregnant, that he could be your father.
Yes, Your Honor.
This is where the plot thickens considerably. Mrs. Spencer discusses her belief in the man who has always been acknowledged as Carmen's father by their mother. She expresses confidence that the DNA test results will confirm this belief, reflecting on their mother's strong-willed nature and insistence on truth. You think this is crazy? Just wait until you hear what's next.
We have believed that this man right here, Lucius Kirkland, is the man. This is the man that my mother has said be her father, and this is the man that I believe is her father. And I believe that today, this DNA test, once it comes back, my mother was a very strong-willed woman that spoke her mind. I do not believe, Honor, that my mother would have left without letting Carmen know who she belonged to.
Can you believe this twist? A significant revelation occurs when Ms. Garner recounts how she first heard about Mr. Smith being her father in the 7th grade from a woman claiming to be her aunt. This claim was dismissed by their mother as false. Fasten your seatbelts, because the next part of the story is a real doozy.
I was going to school, I was in the 7th grade, and there was a lady that came up to me and she said, I am your aunt, which would be his baby sister. So my mother was still living at that time. And I went home and I asked my mother about the accusations. And she told me these people was making it up. It wasn't true.
And may I interject to say, if she heard about that in the 7th grade, that would have made you how old, Carmen?
About 12 or 13.
And when did he come to you?
When I was 37 years old.
You'll need to sit down for this one. Ms. Garner describes how a newspaper article about her struggles with homelessness and addiction led Mr. Smith to contact her, claiming paternity. This was the first time Mr. Smith had reached out to her, catalyzing the events leading to the court case. And just when you think it couldn't get more intense, the upcoming twist is a real jaw-dropper.
Did an article in the newspaper when I was 37 years old. It was about being homeless and on drugs, with a drug addiction. I had went to Lucius Kirkland's house to wash clothes. When I got back to the shelter, they said a man called and said he seen that article in the paper about you being homeless and on drugs, and he had called, Mr. Smith had called the shelter and told them that that he was my father.
Here's where it really starts to hit the fan. In a heated exchange, Mrs. Spencer questions the delay in Mr. Smith, acknowledging his paternity, criticizing him for not stepping up sooner. The discussion emphasizes the emotional and reputational stakes involved in the case.
I started reading the paper, and then what happened was, then I started trying to communicate with her, with Carmen. 20 years later.
She saw the article
Yes.
and called you and said, this is your daughter. Why did she believe that?
Because there've been rumors that it was our father.
Did you hear those rumors through the years?
But her mom never said anything to me about it.
This next bit will make your head spin. The case deepens with a discussion on the distances and relationships between the towns of Alliance, Canton, and Masland, where the involved parties live. Mr. Spencer highlights the small town dynamics and the long-standing knowledge of familial ties within the community.
He say he heard and he lived and we live in a town called Canton. Carmen's biological father, Lucius Kirkland, lives in a town called Mass. With all those towns together, it is about 30 miles long. So if you heard this once before, why would it take your grown daughter to come and tell you that woman right there is your child based on an article in the paper? And even after that article ran.
Do you see this curveball coming? Mr. Smith defends his character and role as a father, asserting his involvement and care for all his children, including Ms. Garner. This moment underscores his perspective on his paternal responsibilities.
I am 78 years old. I have 14 children. I took care of all of my children, and I'm not a deadbeat dad. I'm just slow and I take it easy and I don't say much. But when I found out this was my child, supposedly, that's why we're here today, took her under my wing, and all of my children love her, and they know that.
Okay.
So I'm not here as a deadbeat dad. I'm here to set the record straight, John.
This is the big reveal we've all been waiting for.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Smith, you are her father.
Glory.